You ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you rebuild, reboot, and reinvent your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and today we have special guest, Havilah Malone. Havilah Malone is an inspirational thought leader on a mission to be a catalyst for positive change in over 2 billion people's lives. The multi-talented millennial powerhouse has been featured on Fox, NBC, ABC, and CBS, plus much more. She's an actress, motivational speaker, and former Miss Louisiana. Havilah is also the #1 best-selling author of How to Be a Publicity Magnet in Any Market via TV, radio, and print, and is the author of Think and Grow Rich's children's classics, The Amazing Adventures of Oliver Hill, based on Napoleon Hill's success principles. Her forthcoming book, Rewriting a New History, A Spiritual Path to Audacious Authenticity and Healing, is set to release on April 12th. Welcome to the show, Havilah.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Show was actually started with my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And right after I wrote that, we had a global situation with our universal pause. And so I like to start off the show by asking if you have a time that you can share with the audience in your business or personal life where you hit a tough situation and how you got back on track.
There's been many situations that have been extremely tough or challenging throughout my life, throughout my journey. And one of them, which I share about, somewhat in my new book, my journey through youth, I was actually molested as a child. And it was something that completely wreaked havoc on my sense of self-esteem, my sense of self-worth. And I saw pieces of that mentality and the shame and guilt that I felt about myself kind of peaking in areas of my life where I would hold back, where I would not, fully step into my power because of that, pain and those issues. And I think one of the biggest things that helped me to overcome this was, one, self-forgiveness. And learning to forgive, my abuser, and then also doing the self-work. So I worked with like Tony Robbins and learned about NLP and went in depth into the training so that I can apply those principles to my life. I have gone through, various, coaches and done the self-work that was necessary for me to create a new belief system and to a new paradigm about myself. So the person who I am today is a very different person who was that hurt, broken, youth coming up through life. And I think that we all have been through something, and sometimes multiple some things come up in our lives, but we possess the power to be able to do something different, or to be able to go down a different path and create a new belief system that empowers us as opposed to disempowers us.
How incredible. That is such a journey to go through. And I know you inspired so many other young people when you shared about that in different ways. And the more we talk about these kinds of situations where there's been an abuse, there's been an attack or something that's happened, the more we bring that out into the light and discuss it openly, the more it goes away. So it really is a huge gift that you're able to do that.
Absolutely. Everybody has a journey, a story, lessons learned, things that they've gone through, things that they are going through currently. And our path in life and the way that it unfolds, it's not just for us. It is for you to be able to go through the process and to be able to get the benefits and the lessons, but it's also meant to inspire and encourage and equip other people who may be going through something similar, or who just need to see, you know what, I'm not alone. Like, I'm not the only one who's been through this or who's going through this, and I can do this.
Exactly. And that's one of the things we actually met through Tony Robbins' group, and then a spiritual program that we attended together. And so it's so interesting how Tony Robbins has these breakthrough programs. I don't know if you've seen the breakthrough videos. And every time somebody's gone through a tough situation, one of the assignments he gives them is to go out and be of service to others, even through their tough situation. So they're out of their head, they're in their heart, they're giving back. And that's how it's part of their healing process as they help others.
Yes. When you step outside of yourself, because whatever the problem state that you're in, like, you're vibrating at a certain frequency. And usually if you're focused on the problem and in the problem, it's a pretty low frequency. So there's no way for you to really get the answers that you need, get the solutions that you need in that same frequency of the problem. But if you're able to step outside of it, which means if I go and help somebody else, that automatically makes you feel better. That automatically lifts your spirits, lifts your energy up. Now, at this higher frequency, I can get some better answers. I can get some better solutions. And then I also, like, I'm benefiting you and I'm benefiting me by giving.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I always say that they have this quote that I put on Facebook: the dance of the soul is sacred when beautiful, authentic you and beautiful, authentic me live in community and in freedom. And that's really where I made that quote from, was just my own experiences of every time I give back, I'm not only helping someone else, but they're my teachers and my guides as well.
Everybody is our teachers. And and it's so interesting because they literally are mirrors of us. We think, why is that person, even in my space and aggravating me, or like showing up in this way or doing this thing? No. That is your greatest gift, because that person is showing you, one, you got a button somewhere because they're pushing it. So they're giving you awareness that there's a button. So now you can do the work, if you so choose, to untangle that button. Another thing, they could be showing you how you actually show up in the world and how you actually affect other people. So this gives you an opportunity to say, ooh, do I like this person I'm looking at in the mirror, or do I need to work on some things?
Yes. And the wild thing is, I know we had lots of discussions when I was writing my book. And one of the things that showed up was I really wanted, my intention was this book help people and give them many resources to get back on track. You think about when you're hitting rock bottom, sometimes you just need to get back to ground zero, to get to solid ground. So, and then that breakthrough,
you just always sending us amazing signs, like
and then it just shows up. I can recall, oh my gosh, as a young mother, I had been hospitalized with my oldest son, actually. And through most of the pregnancy, I was in the hospital. And during that time when I got out, I hadn't worked that much. So I went home to my little garage apartment in East LA, believe it or not, where I started out. And I literally did a prayer and a meditation, and the phone rang. It was opportunity. And before you know it, everything showed up right on time. I mean, at that, I had to surrender to the situation and let go of the control.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Such an amazing experience I had been, because of course, one of the things that I do and absolutely love, I am an actress, and I was on hold for this national commercial. And I remember my hair, because of course now I keep my hair very short. I love it this way. This was a journey getting here. But my hair has started growing out, and when you're put on hold for a project, like you can't change your look. And it was getting closer and closer, but they had not confirmed the booking. And I'm just like, are we moving forward? Are we not moving forward? And if we're not moving forward, great, because I need to go get a haircut. Like, it's time to get my hair. And literally, like the day of the fitting, I get a phone call from my agent saying, you know what, they released you. So I was like, oh, okay, you know what? No problem. You know what? It wasn't for me. Whoever ended up booking it, like that's who it was for. I was like, but at least now I get to go and cut my hair. And I go into the bathroom, I'm shaving my head all the way off bald. And I was just like, I just want to start totally fresh. So I go bald, and I get a message while I'm in the bathroom shaving my hair that I had an audition. And I was like, oh my God. But come to find out, it was an audition for a bald-headed lawyer on an extremely successful show.
Wow.
I was like, the alignment of the universe in that moment in time. And I moved to Los Angeles to book a role as an extremely powerful prosecuting attorney on an extremely successful television show. And so this was like the universe saying, I hear you, I'm with you, and I am putting those seeds before you, because what you want, you can have. And I ended up booking, this was a co-star role in this particular show that we just recently filmed that will be coming out shortly. But it was just like, you know what? Yes, one thing fell off, but look at this beautiful opportunity that was so aligned. Yes. You're in the bathroom going bald in the moment that they are looking for you. So what you are searching for in life is also seeking you. It's powerful. We just have to hold the vision, stay true to it, and keep walking our path.
Yes. And that's something that when we're ready to give up, it's often at times when we feel our lowest or some hard, tough situations hit us, that right on the other side of that is everything we ever wanted and more. And we have to be willing to step into it, and then to say yes when the opportunities arrive, to say yes, and know that everything shows up to provide for you, or to allow that to continue or grow, because you were willing to step in and say yes.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I really appreciated about, being in the Tony Robbins world, which we were right there in there together, was he used to say this. He says, life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. And that's a concept that it really takes some contemplation and time to really embrace, because you're like, how could this person cutting me off in traffic, or how can this, lay off from a job, or how can this, horrible situation, quote unquote, be for me? However, everything in our life is there to help us become the person we came to this planet to be. So without those hard knock situations, we would not build the material, become the person, and have the resilience, or have the resourcefulness, or step up and have the courage to take certain steps, had we not gone through some type of trauma or issue or drama, or like something falling apart in our lives. So it truly is for us. And the more we come in harmony with who we are and the power we possess, the hardships start to fall off, because you don't need those experiences anymore, because you're living in that higher vibration on a more regular term. So now I don't need to have really hard knock lessons, because I know how to keep myself here, and I'm gonna keep on growing. I'm gonna keep on growing, keep on growing. So life is beautiful. Like, it's absolutely beautiful. And it's taken me so many years to finally start to see it for what it is, and know that we are co-creators in this process. Everything that is unfolding, we're a part of the creation of it. So when we start to learn those universal laws, learn how to utilize them and apply them for our own benefit, we can truly create the life we love and be proof of what's possible. And I love that.
Yes, and when we went on the spiritual trip, Soul Powered, and we were studying the works of Donnie Epstein and this spiritual chiropractic person that's just, you have to look him up. If you don't know who it is and you're listening in, you've got to look up Donnie Epstein. At any rate, one of the things that he shares about is sometimes when life isn't working, or you have this tough situation, this rock bottom, this terrible thing show up, it's almost as if the universe is trying to direct you and correct you into where you are supposed to be.
Yes.
And so it's really, when you look at it and you find the gift, the problem disappears.
Yeah, it's not there to hurt you. It's there to help you. And
Yeah.
sometimes help comes in the form of pain. Sometimes help comes in some very uncomfortable situations because we fall into the societal construct of life. And there are people who have come before us who said, oh, you should live your life this way. You know, whether it's, religion, whether it's, your culture, whether it's, parental figures, whether it's authorities, like they said, oh, you should be this, you should do this, and this is how you should do it. However, that may not be what your soul is called to do or the way it's called to do it. Mm-hmm. So you have to do the work to unlearn a lot of patterns and a lot of things. Like I grew up in a very, religious household. And I think that information that I learned and the foundation that I had, it was beautiful for the journey that I was in at the time. However, I have continued to grow and my spiritual path has continued to evolve. But had I stayed stuck there and had my mind just inside of that box, I would not be who I am today. Like I would be another version of myself and I would not be happy either. So we deserve to have and step into that audacious authenticity that is us, not just what everybody else says that we should be.
Yes, yes. And that goes into the topic of your book. So I'd love to hear more about your book and parts and chapters in it and how that unfolded, how the book even came to be.
Oh my goodness. This has been years in the making of stepping into a place of confidence and courage to share the messages that are in that book. Because a lot of times, people look at my life and they're like, wow, all these successes, you've had, national television shows, you've been a queen, like literally Miss Louisiana, you graduated high school at 16 and graduated college at 19, by 21, you're running $160 million, technology business. And it's just like, yes, you see all of the flashy, beautiful exterior accomplishments. However, we all have had a journey of getting to where we are. And the things that you don't see behind the scenes, that you don't see behind the closed doors, I think that's what's most valuable to be able to share with people so that as they're going through their journey, they get to feel, okay, you know what? I'm not the only one that's going through these tough times. Mm-hmm. And I'm not the only one who has been built up and fallen down and had to rebuild again and fallen down and had to rebuild again. And so I really go on a deep, vulnerable dive and even into tools that I have used along my journey from, NLP, that neuro-linguistic programming, which allows you to literally go in and rewire your unconscious beliefs and neural pathways. So it's like so many things that we do, and we do it out of habit. We don't even realize why we're doing it or that we're doing it. It's because it's unconscious. But there are tools to be able to go in to help you to become aware of your unconscious patterns and to change them in the matter of minutes. And so I wasn't aware of tools like this, 10 years ago, even probably 8 years ago. Like I wasn't even aware that these things existed. So I was struggling through life and trying to find a sense of meaning and a sense of purpose. And who the heck am I in this world? Am I just these things, these accomplishments, these, accolades? Or is there something deeper? Is there something more? And that has led me on a very empowering spiritual path, which I even partook in an ayahuasca ceremony.
Uh-huh.
And in the book, I go very deep into what that experience was like, how I was led to that particular. And for those who are unfamiliar, ayahuasca is a sacred plant medicine that is found in the Amazon forest. And it is a spiritual medicine that allows you to strip past the ego, the conscious mind, and get to a place of connection with spirit, get to a place of connection with your divine guides and intuitive knowing, and have visions and experiences and unfoldings that are completely mind-blowing. And we so often operate on this mental plane of existence, but there are so many other planes. Like you have to go to the spiritual plane. You have to go to the etheric plane to be able to get the information that's necessary to bring back down into this physical plane so that you can have the best experience of life. So it's a really like there's no holds bar in this book. Like you lay it all out, and then also offer a formula to be able to utilize called Shine, that allows you to step into your greatness and step into your power and really come to terms with who and what you are and help you along that journey.
Wow, that's incredible. And for those listening in, whether there's so many different ways to connect spiritually and to get to that, you don't have to do a plant medicine. It may be that's not your journey or something you want to partake in, and that's okay. It could be through prayer, meditation, hiking in the woods. There's so many different ways to connect back to source, to something beyond this. And even those who study science now see there's such a connection between spirituality and science. It's just unbelievable, all the different ways that they can see how just putting intention or positive words on a glass of water, and it changes the molecular structure of the water. That's Dr. Emoto that has these studies, and how incredible that is. Or they could send an intention and everybody could meditate for peace or pray for peace. And all of a sudden that vibration, that energy shifts the area and peace shows up. And so there is something beyond that's connecting our science and our spirituality so much.
And I'm so grateful that you shared that, because I always say this phrase. I'm like, there are many roads to Mecca, and Mecca meaning, your place of connection with your higher self, your place of connection with your inner knowing, your place of enlightenment, your place of harmony, like your harmonious life. And yes, NLP is a tool. Meditation is a tool. Ayahuasca is a tool. Being able to, going to a counselor is a tool. There are many tools available to us to be able to do the personal development, the personal discovery work that we need to do. The important part is not necessarily the tool, but that you find the one that works for you. Because my path is going to be different from your path. And everybody's path is quite unique to themselves. However, unless you know that tools exist, you won't even know that those options are available to you to even explore. So that's why I think it's so important that we share our journeys, we share our stories, we share the tools that we utilize, because it may resonate with you, it may not. Either way, it's fine. Just find what works for you.
Yes. Yes. And one of the things I shared a little bit with you is I was a Waldorf teacher years ago, and I studied the works of Rudolf Steiner and his teachings and his belief. And it was kind of incredible, because he believed that children come into their families, they're born to their families, and each family may have their own culture, their own religion, their own practices. And just like your journey with your raising and learning all the spirituality you learned with your parents, that was part of your journey. And it's a sacred thing to have that at home, some type of a spirituality practice, a meditation practice, a prayer practice, walking in nature, studying science, whatever it is. It really is a gift to even the young children in your homes, because it gives people a grounding and a connection to something beyond, so that when these tough situations happen, when we hit a sad situation or something happens in our life, these connections, these groups that we connect with, whether it's a temple, a church, a mosque, meditating in nature, whatever it is, those connections are what really get us through. And then as we learn about each other's religious beliefs and practices, we get to know all of humanity.
Yes.
And ourselves.
Oh, goodness. Because it allows you to step into someone else's shoes, to see the world from their map of reality. How you view the world is very different from the person who is standing next to you. And when you're able to start to understand, why do you feel that way? Why do you choose to, go down that path or to do that thing? Then that gives you more compassion and empathy. And it's like, you're not trying to do anything to hurt me, or it actually has nothing to do with me. This is just how you view the world. And I have had the privilege of being able to, look into and study a multitude of religions and belief systems, from Buddhism to Theosophy to Kabbalah to, like Group Jehovah's Witness, so Christianity. And what I love, and I love finding the commonality between us all that connects, like you said, our humanity. Because ultimately the core piece that connects everything is love.
Yes.
And if you come from that place of love and truly connect with love, then it doesn't matter what somebody's background is. It doesn't matter what their belief system is. You'll do what you do from a very pure place.
Yes.
But it takes us coming to understand how you operate and why you operate that way, for me to be able to fully release all of my prejudices, all of my preconceived stereotypes about how it should be and why it should be. That's another level of existence and thinking, and that takes work to get there.
And your book has come out right on time during these very interesting times where so many people have lost that love connection with community, where they're taking there's so many different sides. I've lost track of all the different beliefs and sides, and everybody's right, because and everybody has their own belief of what's right. And I looked at it all and I thought, okay, they're all coming from their highest belief of what is good, and out of their own sense of love for wanting to protect or help their other people on this planet. So it's coming from love. It's just sometimes it's coming from a very different place than we are. So if we can just erase all that and see the love, that's what our kids, our families, our communities to rebuild right now this year, as we're finally getting back on track and the world is starting to open up. That's what we really need, that love energy.
And a lot of times it's because mass consciousness really delves in the energy and frequency of lack. And if I believe that there's only finite resources, there's only so much of this and so much of that, so I got to make sure I get mine. And even if that's to your detriment, I don't care. I got to get mine because there's only so much. But when you step into a higher frequency of thinking and being, you realize that I am a creator and I live within a creation, which means that everything that I want, I can either create it or it's already there. I just have to open my mind to be able to see it. And I love when people come to learn about their reticular activating system, which is within your brain. It allows you, like, say if your car, like you got a red car. Before you got a red car, you probably hardly saw any red cars on the street. But as soon as you got a red car, you saw red cars, and you like, everybody got a red car, And it's because now that has become a focus. Your reticular activating system is now focused on that thing, so it's looking for it. Because we can only process so many bits of information. I think it's 124 million bits of information are coming at us, and we only process 124 of them per second. So that means there's so much information that's around us that you're just not seeing. So what you need is already there. You already have access to what you need. But until you get focused and believe, because you got to believe that you can access it and that you're deserving of accessing it, that's when you'll be able to come into contact with it. And again, like all of these things, these new ways of thinking that are much higher levels of thinking and understanding that connect you with yourself, we have to do the work to be able to get to that place, because that's not what we're being taught in schools. That's not what we're being taught for the most part, within our home structures. So you have your cultural upbringing, your societal upbringing, your school upbringing, and then you got to go do your own self-development.
Yes. And that's talking about schools. I remember you had an incredible program that you did to help the kids at, I think it was Block High School. And I just remember that there's schools, believe it or not, and I know this is one of my passions, is that we deserve to have equal education for all in our country, and we don't. And so when you showed up and did the reports and actually helped with the fundraising to change all these young students' lives, it's really blessing all. And to have equal education for all is actually blessing everyone. Imagine somebody on their deathbed going through some type of disease, whatever the next thing is that shows up on our planet. The one that was denied that education could be the one that has the cure.
Ooh, wow. You're absolutely right. Like, we all deserve to have equal rights, equal access to quality education, because the more that you know and apply that knowledge, because knowledge is a power, it's applied knowledge that is power, then that allows you to start to open the way for everybody. So it's not just about benefiting you. You get to bring your gift to the world. You get to help people in the way that you came here to help people. And when we learned about the situation at Block High School in Jonesville, Louisiana, and the books were filled with mold, like the environment that they were in, like even the information that they were receiving was old and outdated. And it was just like, how could you allow another human being, or even put another human being in a situation like this? And you see this play out all over the world in different aspects, in different areas. And so it's kind of like, if you see something and you feel compelled, you feel moved, do something. Like, even if it's like raising awareness, if it's, raising, funds, if it's living in your truth and bringing your gifts to the world that then help to empower somebody else who's going to help shift that situation. And when we saw what was going on with the kids, it was like everybody rallied together and was like, no, we have to do something. Like, we have to bring some awareness so that the system itself gets changed. Because right now, they think it's backwoods, and nobody's really looking at this, and nobody's going to really regulate what we're doing. And it's like, no, we're going to make people aware of the situation and bring them the resources that they need, so that overall, like, policies can get changed over time. So it was amazing, and thank you so much for being a part of that and bringing all of your educational and activism experience, to the fore, because it really made a difference in those youth lives, and they were able to participate in leadership programs and get the things that they need and move on to graduation. And some of them who weren't going to go to college are now in college, and it's just like, you can make a difference. Just taking one step can be the difference to change somebody's life, including yours.
Yes. So when you're listening in, if you're listening in right now and you're frustrated over something and you want to see change, just starting at home and in your community, one person at a time is how this is going to shift. And the focus, like you talked about earlier, how we focus on what's going right, How can we add more good? How can we help more? How can we contribute to this or that cause that we care about? And that brings the next right action and the next right action. And we don't see the other stuff that's not so good, and then it disappears. It just dissolves it because we're not focused on it anymore. So it has no energy to live.
Yeah. And sometimes I think we look at things and we look at the big problem, the big picture problem, and it gets overwhelming. So it's like, okay, I can't do anything about that. However, like they said, it's like eating an elephant. How would you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So when you connect with your intuitive knowing, you get information, you get nudges, you get like steps, like make this phone call. You know what? Shoot a video and share about, what's going on. Write a book. Do a television show, that helps people and gives them a platform to share messages that are empowering and important, or you know what? Go and comfort this person. Like, just go and tell them, that they are important and that they, have meaning and worth. Like, you have no idea what's going on in that person's life, but when you get that inspired nudge to go and do something, be obedient and do it.
And learning how to listen. Some people, I don't have that voice or that intuition or that knowing. I think of any parent. It's almost like you have a knowing. You just kind of know
Absolutely.
when something's off or something's not right with one of the kids, think of your mom or your parents. They just kind of know. They'll know and they'll check in, and it's right when you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing or whatever that is. They're like, oh, okay, yeah. And so that's something a lot of times we give that away to, oh, well, that was just a coincidence. But whether you call it a guidance from God, from source, from whatever that inner knowing, however, maybe your subconscious picked it up, there's something to listening to those little nudges. Don't go down that street. Take this other route today, whatever it is. Go check on my friend because something doesn't seem right, where it really is spot on. When we just, it's back to surrender.
Yeah. To surrender. Oh my goodness. That is the key to so many things because we have an illusion of control.
Mm-hmm.
And me especially, and like I said, I talk about this, extensively in the book because I used to be such a control freak. Like such a control freak because I wanted to make sure that everything aligned just the way that I envisioned in my map of reality it should be, and nothing could fall apart, this perfectionism mentality. And I know, from the work that I have done, a lot of that stemmed from my life being so, out of control with the abuse and, not feeling protected or, not feeling like safe. So it was kind of like I overcompensated by being like a control freak. And so it was like for you to really be able to connect with your higher self and to get in harmony with life as it is flowing, you've got to release this illusion of control. You've got to surrender. And I literally had to go on this like deep dive and journey to figure out how to surrender, like how to let go, because that had been my pattern and my unconscious habit for so long. And I remember one day I was walking and I was doing a walking meditation, and I'm going through nature, and nature is a really great place for me to be able to like connect to my higher self and to like release all of the anxieties, worries, thoughts, processes, or whatever, and just like be in the moment, like be in the energy of nature. And in that process, like I asked my higher self like a question. I was just like, what does it mean to surrender? Like, how do we surrender? And as I'm walking, all these visions started like popping into my mind. All these images started like popping into my mind. And soon as the flood of information stopped coming, I grabbed my phone and I started like jotting down everything that I saw as quickly as I could. And this poem came out, and it's called The Vision of Surrender, Death of the Ego. And I literally saw a sitting underneath the tree, like I was sitting there underneath the tree, and a snake or an eagle came, swallowed me. Then a snake swallowed us both. And we went into the core of the earth. But within that core of the earth, we were being remolded. We were being renewed. We were being given energy. And then we descended, we came back up and went into the sky, and the snake released us. The eagle, we flew through the sky and went into the expanse of the universe and connected with that universal divine energy. And I was able to see from a different perspective that everything was in harmony. Everything was operating from my highest and best good. It makes me.
Yes.
That we are powerful.
Yes.
Beyond measure. And that we have everything that we could ever need for our journey already within us. And then I was able to come back down from having that beautiful divine interaction and seeing the illumination of the stars and my connection to divinity and to reconnect with my purpose. And I then saw myself back under that tree, back in the moment, back in that space and time, and was able to take that, the energy of that experience, the knowing of that experience, and allow that to help me to surrender, because everything was going to work out. It was already meant to work out. We came here fully enabled with everything for our journey. We just have to remember.
Oh, yes. And once in a while, we have to break the rules.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And that's something that you have taught me like so much about breaking the, like, forget this perfectionist stuff, forget this having to have it all together. Let's just break some rules and see how it goes. Like,
yes, that is so true. And being in the flow. And then you showed me, okay, but you need to kind of manage your time a little bit. that in between
harmony between the two of them.
And so that was so helpful. It really was. Yes. I could totally get lost in the flow every day. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, it's nighttime. And I've done all these fun things and, you know, been on the show and talked to so many people all over the planet. And I'll lose track of time and space because I am in the flow and enjoying every magic moment. And it's something that I would never want to not have, that freedom. It's freedom. It gives you freedom.
And there's a place, space, and time for all of it. We need the flow where we just time stand still. Like, oh my God, like I've been meditating for 2 hours. Like, what? Like, you know, but when you go into that space, that creative space, that space of silence, that's where you get all the answers. That's where you get connected to the higher energy. So it takes all of the other things that you do on this physical plane. You can do it a lot faster, but then you do have to operate in the physical plane and make plans and make decisions and take action and do all of the things in alignment with those universal laws. So you have to find the harmony and the place for each of those pieces because they all work together. They're all a part of the whole.
Yes, a lot of times I work consulting with business owners right now that are really owned by their business and they've lost their life. They've lost the flow completely. And so that's something that to be able to have both, it's ridiculous because they actually have more success in their business and they've brought back their personal life. And now they're living on their terms. And that really makes all the difference because I figure, why exactly did you start your business? I ask when I work with these incredible business owners and they're like, well, for my family, for my loved ones, but they've lost all that. In the process of doing, they forgot beingness. So there's that form and freedom, that balance that we really need to go on. And I think that your book really guides people through that. I had the pleasure of reading it already, and so it's such a gift to be able to reconnect right now and learn to have more of that connection and that freedom to even express to others about these things. So
Absolutely. It's kind of like the things that we do behind closed doors, the things that we do that help us, even the pain that we go through that people don't get to see. I think it's so important that we're able to share the lessons that we learn, because those lessons are not just for us, they're for the expansion of our consciousness as a whole. They're for the expansions of our collective humanity. And so getting to a place where you can start stripping back the layers and say, here's the most authentic, realist, most vulnerable form and piece of who and what I am. And guess what? You possess a power to be able to step into that level of audacious authenticity too. And where you're not affected by, I don't have anything to protect, I don't have anything to defend, I don't have anything to, fight for. No, I get to flow through life, make decisions, create a vision for myself, and then get in harmony with the resources, the people, the circumstances, take the action, and actually allow that life to unfold. Because you can have anything you want.
Exactly. And I think of, when you say this, it just reminds me of any little child, a young child, and they are in their essence and their truth. They're singing, they're dancing, they're expressing themselves, they're playing, they're saying exactly what's on their mind. And they do not hold back at all. And they are just sharing love and joy, and they're not in competition with anyone. There is no ego. It is all love. And somehow we lost that along the way.
Yeah.
And your book,
when you ask a child to play like an adult,
right,
they immediately they'll get stiff, they'll get all serious. They're like, I'm playing an adult, and it's kind of like that's how we start to show up in life, as and we forget that freedom, that connection. There was a time in my life where because I love, when I go on my walks, I will listen to music. And I would just be in the flow, and I'd be singing and dancing. But as soon as a car would come by or a person would be coming by, I'd be like, I would stop and shut it down. And it's kind of like, in my evolution, in the work that has been being put in, through these tools, I have come to a place now where it doesn't matter who's around. It doesn't matter what car passes. If I'm in the flow and I'm feeling this song, I'm going to bust out dancing. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to be in my flow. And guess what? That gives other people permission to do the same thing too. Because who doesn't want to be in a high vibration? Who doesn't want to feel good? You didn't come to this planet to feel bad. You came here to feel good and to enjoy these experiences. Yeah. And so it's a different level of freedom to be who you are, and that's living.
I know whoever wrote those crazy rules about us having to be all structured and follow all the rules, these unwritten crazy rules, nobody wants to follow these. Take that mask off. That mask has got to go, because that's not really who we are. Nobody, very few people, I don't know anybody that really wants to live like that. And that freedom is
absolutely right. And you know me, and I love a good structure. I love a good plan. I love a good, formula for accomplishing things. I love those things, and that's a part of my makeup and personality, and helps me to keep on track. But where the problem comes in is if I get too far in the structure, too far over in the planning and perfection, then things are off kilter. So you have to be able to free flow and be in the moment and enjoy and allow that vibration to flow. And you also have to be able to plan and execute and show up on time and do what you got to do. So it all is about creating harmony within your life and finding, and I don't believe in balance. Like this is not a concept that really works for me, because you're never in balance necessarily, because sometimes you're going to have more focus on one thing than you do on another. But it's about finding harmony through everything that you do and how it all connects and plays with each other in that season of your life. Because seasons change.
Well, I mean, you remember my house, when you would visit, you would see there was an indention where I would sit and write the book on the sofa. Like, I never even sat on the sofa. I didn't even watch TV. I was always going. I said yes to everything. I was always out, networking and speaking and doing different things. And there's this dent. I had to throw the sofa away. I sat there so many hours editing and re-editing and working with people. And it was so much structure for somebody as free-flowing as me, but the purpose behind it was to help more people and to give people the tools and resources they needed. And I really believe they would show up, and more resources have come to me to be able to share through this show that came from the book. And so that's why sometimes that structure is just as important, for sure. And to be able to then at the end of the day go play or go do something fun and breathe a little bit is the form and freedom that helps you keep going when you're on a project.
Yes.
That.
Absolutely. I can go for hours, at my computer, working or studying or researching or, putting things down on paper or answering emails or whatever it is. And then I'll get a indication within my body, within my mind. It's like, you need a break, like go outside, like go into nature, go sit on the balcony, go get in the sun, like go feel those rays on your skin and soak that in so that you can then, bring yourself to a different vibration, and then we can go back to the work. But, sometimes we do, we push ourselves and then don't listen to the internal nudges where we need to, like, okay, let's shift gears for a second. Let's get into a new vibration for a second, and then we can come back to that.
Beautiful. And so we are actually coming to the end of our time, and I would love for you to again share about your book, the title, and where people can connect with you and buy the book.
Yeah, so the book is called Rewriting a New History, A Spiritual Path to Audacious Authenticity and Healing. And the book is going to be available for pre-sale on April the 12th, and then available on through all retailers April 27th. So I'm super excited, and people can connect with me on my website as well at havilahmalone.com. It's HAVILAHMALONE if you're listening on the radio. And so if you're watching on TV, you see the link.
Well, thank you again for being a guest on the show, and we will be back after these messages. Stay tuned.
I would like to share with you a little bit more about Havilah's new book. If you could rewrite your own story, what would your life look like? So we've entered a dynamic age of personal, transformational, spiritual growth, and deep healing. We were born to shine and experience harmony, creativity, and purpose in our lives. Often, we play small, settling for a life that others expect us to live, which leads to a loss of connection with our higher self. Now is the time to fully realize your potential, reclaim your power, and reinvent yourself. This remarkably insightful book takes you on a captivating exploration of the author's life-changing spiritual awakening. After a lifetime of following the cultural script for success, the 16-year-old college student turned corporate prodigy, beauty queen, and media personality was driven to find her deeper meaning in life. In this book, you will join Havilah as she embarks on a courageous journey of self-discovery with a shaman in an ancient ayahuasca ceremony, the sacred plant medicine of the Amazon rainforest. In this vivid account, Havilah reveals the divinely inspired message she channeled and the tools that will guide you in your own personal, inspired spiritual journey. Experience inner freedom through the inspiring and refreshingly grounded examination of physical, non-physical, and metaphysical healing. Break free from unconscious limiting beliefs as you learn how to embrace a life of audacious authenticity. Rewriting a New History is a beautiful illustrated masterpiece sure to stimulate the heart, mind, and soul of any spiritual seeker. So get a copy of Rewriting a New History, A Spiritual Path to Audacious Authenticity and Healing at Amazon or HavilahMalone.com. I'd love for you to grab a copy of my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. It is now available on Audible as well as on Amazon and Kindle and at www.sheilamac.com. I have to let you know something, just between you and me. This book is not one size fits all, just like a pair of boots or a bra. So the formula is designed to help you through any situation.